Hey guys, YouTuber Nerd here. Alright, and now here I am with another obscure 2000s Steam review. And next up, this is going to be a review for The Game Plan. So yeah, this is another one of those movies that, when it first came out, it did, get a little bit of recognition. I remember, for, the first few months after this movie's release, it, was kind of popular amongst crowds. I do remember, it getting talked about for, a good amount of time. Yeah. But then, yeah, after a few months, that's kind of when this film just kind of ended up just once again it just kind of just ended up just falling down into obscurity, and people just really stopped talking about it. Yeah, and ever since this film, the year this film came out in 2007, I really haven't heard people really talking about the movie at all. So yeah, so this is another case like that where popular when it was first released, but then quickly just stopped getting a mention, and just ended up just really falling into obscurity once again. Yeah. So so I remember when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I really was kind of what should I say? I was kind of skeptical about how this film really was going to turn out, because yeah, when I saw the trailer and I saw that this film starred The Rock, I was seeing it, and I was just really very skeptical about it, because yeah, seeing The Rock in a Disney movie, I really just wasn't really too sure how that was going to turn out, and I was kind of a little nervous about it, yeah, because yeah, at the time like the at the time this was still when The Rock still was kind of relatively new into the movie world. The Rock really wasn't really the huge Hollywood star yet that he is now. But yeah, so yeah, this was still when he was still kind of a new to the movie acting, at least full time. Yeah, and yeah, and it seemed at this time it really did seem the action genre was really The Rock's specialty in the movie industry, because prior to this movie, this was when he was more known for being in the action movies, because yeah, he was of course was in The Mummy Returns, The Scorpion King, The Rundown, and Walking Tall. Yeah, and then he's then started trying to get into some other genres. He started being in movies of other genres. There was Be Cool, which was a comedy, which yeah, that really was a pretty bad movie. And there was also Doom, which yeah, people really have seemed to really hate a lot. That film really has been very ridiculed over the years and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So at the time, just it really did seem The Rock, a specialty in movies was the action genre. Yeah. And with this film, of course, being under Disney, it was gonna be a family film. So I just really was very skeptical about The Rock being in a family film, and a Disney one too. Just I really wasn't too sure how this was going to turn out, and I was very skeptical about what they were really going to do with it. Yeah, and I actually do remember uh, this film was actually being advertised by WWE. I remember during this time I was really visiting WWE.com all the time. Yeah, and I remember you remember back in the day when whenever you would watch videos on WWE.com, they would have some advertisements stuff. I remember this was actually they actually did have some trailers for this movie being used as advertisements on WWE.com at the time. So yeah, so it was kind of interesting seeing WWE advertise a Disney movie, even if it did have The Rock in it. Yeah. So I was just really kind of just really not too sure what to expect with The Rock starring in a Disney movie, and I was just really skeptical and concerned about really how this film really was going to turn out. But yeah, surprisingly, they actually made a pretty solid film with this. Yeah, I actually did see this movie in the theater, and yeah, I actually liked it for the most part. Yeah, yeah. On the one hand, I mean, yeah, the film is it does get very very corny at several points in it. Yeah, this film really is just about how you have a man who's like a very popular athlete and very like just very full of himself. Then one day he then like ends up like meeting his daughter that he really didn't know existed. And yeah, and as it starts off, it really does show like how he really has no idea about being a father and really just really does like anything with her. But then as the film progresses, he really does like start to become like more fatherly, and they really do like form a bond with each other. And then by the end of the movie, like they do finally like become like a true father and daughter. So yeah, so it really is like kind of like that sort of story, like where you have a parent that ends up like not even knowing that they're about their child until like several years after their birth, and then at first it is like how like the relationship really is not very good, but yeah, then over time like they really do start to bond together, and then they eventually do like have a legitimate relationship at the end of the movie. So yeah, so it really is that kind of story. Yeah, and like I said, like it does get like kind of corny throughout because yeah, there's just like a lot of moments in the movie that are just like really seem like very just like it really does kind of like make you cringe because of just like how cheesy it can get at times. Because there's like points in this movie where the daughter really like is like acting up really just to really like make make her father really just really like do what she wants and all that other stuff. And then, yeah, and the father just really does like go through hijinks throughout the movie and stuff. But yeah, he does really like try to really make the daughter happy, and yeah, and just really kind of like just those sort of cliches where like the father really just goes through hijinks and he's trying to really please the daughter, and yeah, just all that other stuff. So yeah, so it does get like kind of corny at the time, but the story overall, like just like the father daughter relationship and stuff, like it is like done like pretty well in the movie. Yeah, and plus, yeah, and of course, and I also find it kind of interesting that like in this film, it really is like The Rock playing football, and I've always kind of found that interesting because if you know The Rock, you know that like originally before wrestling, he actually did want to play football because of course like he did play football at the University of Miami, and he actually did want to play football well first, but then like that ended up like just yeah, it really like didn't go the way he wanted to. Like he just like he couldn't become a football player, so then he then went into pro wrestling. So yeah, wrestling was actually the Rock's second choice. He originally wanted to play football. And I do find it interesting seeing that the Rock is actually playing football in the movie. So yeah, and overall, I do think that the Rock does a pretty good job in the movie. Like I said, like the stuff where he really does like try to please his daughter. Like that stuff can get like kind of corny in the movie. So yeah, so there are like some drawbacks to it, but at the same time, like it really doesn't really like get like absolutely stupid overdone stuff. Like and plus, yeah, the main story just like with the two of them just like forming a relationship throughout the movie. Yeah, that is done overall pretty well. And yeah, and plus, yeah, the movie really does have like some funny parts in it as well. Though, yeah, at times like there's just like some scenes in the movie as well, like really where it really does like show you like the time that this movie did come out, and because yeah, there's just like a lot of like um or like references to this time period where like you do have like stuff like pop music and all that other stuff. So yeah, yeah. So it does really like give you like that kind of like those kind of reactions like throughout it where you really do just like see like the time period that it's in. So yeah, so a lot of corny moments, but still just yeah. The main story really is done like very well, and plus, yeah, it just is really interesting. Kind of like seeing this is sort of like being as if it is like The Rock's actual life, because yeah, playing football and having a daughter, because yeah, he does like have daughters in real life, and he actually did have one at this time. So yeah, it is interesting, kind of like just seeing The Rock really just being what he actually does do in real life. So yeah, yeah. So really just while the film is definitely corny and there is like some stuff that you really he can like really just like really cringe at, yeah, it is still overall still a solid movie and I did enjoy it overall. So I would probably give this movie around like 3 stars out of 4. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If you are interested in like seeing a movie with The Rock that's kind of like different than like the action movies that he is like known for. If you just like want to see him in like a different kind of movie that really isn't like all that stupid and horrible, if you just want to see him in like a family movie, this is probably the one that I would say is the go-to choice. So yeah, all right. So yeah, so I guess I'll just get into the story of the movie. Yeah. So as the film opens up, it shows that Joe Kingman, who is played by The Rock, is like a quarterback for the Boston Rebels in the American Football Federation. Yeah, and it shows that like he is just like really kind of full of himself and really just like tends to really just play as a one man team because yeah, when in his games he doesn't really pass the ball to the wide receivers. He just really just goes for it to make the touchdowns himself. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, and then eventually, one day, he ends up having a girl on his arriving on his doorstep, and it's eventually revealed that like the girl Peyton Kelly is actually his daughter, who was and and her mother is like his ex-wife, Sarah. Yeah. And then yeah, and then just yeah, Joe really like didn't believe it at first, but then Peyton like provided proof that she was his daughter by like showing him her birth certificate and it had his name on it, and also that she told him Joe that Sarah had dropped her off to stay with him for a month while went out into she went over to Africa. Though yeah, we would later find out that like there this really was not why she was staying with Joe, and there was it was actually a different story as to like why she was actually there. Yeah, but yeah, I'll talk about that later. Yeah, but then after speaking with uh his agent Stella Peck, who was played by Kira Sedgwick, like Joe then realized the way that Peyton was born was after like one day when after Joe and Sarah ended up divorcing. As Sarah came by to Joe's house to pick up her stuff, they ended up like going at it one last time, and then that's how Peyton was made. And yeah, yeah, but then yeah, then Stella really just thinks that like this could be really bad for Joe's image, and so she just tried to distract him with the upcoming playoffs for his team that they made it to. Yeah, and then there's like some like, and at one point as Joe went to practice, and at one point Peyton offered him a cookie, and as he ate it, like it showed that he seemed to like be having a reaction to it, and then his voice just like got like very lispy, and then it was revealed that like the cookie that he ate like had cinnamon, which he was allergic to. Yeah, so he was just like talking throughout practice with a lisp in his voice. Yeah, yeah, and then later on, um, like as Joe was attending the opening of his own restaurant and a nightclub, as he was just like at the opening, just like really just enjoying himself. Yeah, as he was leaving, he ended up leaving Peyton behind at the restaurant, and so then yeah, that ended up like getting him like some attention in the media, yeah, for it, and then yeah, then Stella then like just decided that Joe really needed like a new fatherly image, so yeah, it ended up really just like a really just changing up like his lifestyle by like getting him a different car and all this other stuff. Yeah. Then during a press conference, as like the reporters really were just like getting into Joel about like his irresponsibility as a father, then Peyton then just ended up like speaking up on his behalf, just saying that he's new to being a father and trying to do the best he can, and thinks that he's the best father in the world. But yeah, he Peyton like also like told Joe that it's gonna cost him. Yeah, and then I guess I should also mention that um Joe, well, not Joe, Peyton really was like a really like wanting to uh learn ballet and stuff, and so then yeah, Joe ended up taking Peyton to a a ballet academy that was run by Monique Vasquez, who was played by Rosalind Sanchez. Yeah, yeah. And then then as Peyton really was just then accepted into the class, she was really um um Monique was just like very impressed with Peyton's ballet skills. Yeah, but she was also like displeased with Joe's really lack of responsibility for Peyton, because after like one day the ballet class for Peyton, Joe like didn't show up to pick her up even after 2 hours after class ended. So then, and after Monique ended up confronting Joe about it, then he like had him join with their ballet performance, and then then like it showed at first how Joe really wasn't really taking ballet very seriously. Eve and stuff. And then after like putting him through a session, she was really just like showing him like how much athletic ability is needed for ballet as is for football. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then then it was like just Joe was really becoming more fatherly to Peyton, giving her like her own room and everything. After Peyton ended up sabotaging like a date that Joe had with his girlfriend Tatiana. Then as Joe really was just like pretty much just like brushing Aiden. I mean, not what brushing Peyton away. Yeah, just like sending her to bed. Then Peyton really just like called Joe out on his arrogance and selfishness. This and then after like Joe really just like apologized to Peyton through like singing a song through a guitar. And then trying to be more fatherly to her, he then ended up like taking Peyton and her friends to the mall, and then was showing like how it was just like very out of control, and he really couldn't handle the kids. And so then, Monique then eventually ended up arriving to help Joe manage the kids. Yeah. And then then over time, then like Joe then was really starting to have some romantic feelings for Monique. Yeah. Yeah. And then then it showed how like Joe's team was able to just march through the playoffs, and they were able to make it to the championship game against their rivals, the New York Dukes. Yeah, yeah. And then Stella made an offer to Joe later on for a endorsement deal with a successful fast food restaurant, Fanny's Burgers, if he and just told him that like if he wins the game and mentions the products, he'll have the endorsement deal. Yeah. Then eventually, like as uh Joe, Monique, and Peyton were out at lunch at the Barking Crab. Yeah. Then, like as Joe was talking about like how Peyton would be back home by the time that the championship game was, like as Monique was asking if Peyton could stay, Peyton then like just said that she had to get back home before her mother did. But then then like as Joe was just like asking about that, then eventually like Peyton ended up just revealing to Joe that she was actually supposed to go to a special ballet program for the month, but she ended up sneaking off to meet Joe instead. Yeah, and then as Joe really was just like really just calling her out on like how bad that's gonna make him look. Then then it showed how Peyton was starting to sweat, and her lips were also swelling up and she was coughing. Then it was like shown that Peyton was actually showing an allergic reaction to nuts because the dessert that she was eating actually did contain nuts. Yeah, and so then then Joe ended up rushing Peyton over to the hospital, and then then as the doctors tended to her, it was showing that they then eventually told Joe that like just it was a mild reaction and Peyton would be fine. But then it showed then how Peyton's aunt Karen, who was her legal guardian, then showed up, and then Joe was just shocked to see her there because the story Peyton told Joe earlier was that like her mother had brought Peyton over to her, and that to him, and Karen was actually dead, and then then Karen then just ended up telling Joe the truth that Sarah had actually died 6 months earlier, and yeah, she's a Peyton's legal guardian. Yeah, yeah, and then then as a like a uh, Karen was just like telling Joe that she was gonna take Peyton back home with her. Then just Joe then was just saying to Karen how he wants Peyton to stay with him because she needs her father. But yeah, Karen just like didn't want it happening because she felt that Joe wasn't responsible enough to take care of her, especially since like Peyton was in the hospital. And then then Peyton and then ended up just like overhearing Stella just talking about how she would be a huge distraction to Joe. So then Karen then well not Karen Peyton then just ended up deciding that she just wanted to go back home with her Aunt Karen. And after Peyton and Karen went back home, it showed how Joe was just like very like just depressed and upset about Peyton being gone, and she eventually ended up finding in, a bag that was under Peyton's bed that contained like some photos and had a letter from Sarah saying how she hid Peyton away from Joe, and as his career was starting, she didn't want Peyton to be a distraction. So basically, she didn't want what Stella was really talking about. Yeah. Yeah. Then at the championship game, it just showed how like Joe's focus really wasn't on the game, and he was just still like very depressed and upset about Peyton. And even like in a pregame interview, like as he was being asked about Peyton, saying that he would be able to focus on the game better now that Peyton was no longer with him. Joe then spoke up and just said that he cares more about Peyton than anything else. Yeah, and it showed that at home, Karen and Peyton were actually watching the game. Yeah, and after hearing that, then it just showed like them embracing each other. Yeah, and then during the game, it was just showing how like Joe just couldn't fully focus on the game and wasn't playing very well, and then ended up getting hurt or suffering like a separated shoulder and some bruised ribs. So then, then Joe then decided to like have his backup quarterback go into the game for him. But then, then it showed that Peyton ended up arriving at the game with Karen, and after hearing what Joe said, then she said that she wanted to be with Joe, and Karen even like said that she needs her father. So then, then that, but that put Joe and Peyton together. Yeah. And then, then towards the end of the fourth quarter of the game, Joe ended up returning out to the field, and then, continued playing in the game. And so, then, then Joe, of course, then was able to, like, help his team get back into it, and they were able to make a touchdown to win the game. And so then, so then the Rebels then won and won their first championship. And then, then Joe was just celebrating with Peyton, and he ended up rejecting the Fanny's Burger offer and said that he was taking his daughter home. And so then, then we just had the celebration with a Joe, Peyton, and the rest of the team. Yeah. And then that's how the film ended. It cut to credits. But yeah, during the credits, then there was like this little dance segment with Joe, Peyton, and Monique, and just like showing like various other clips of like various other characters dancing as well. And so and that's how it ended. Yeah. So overall, like as I've said, like it does get very corny, especially like in the scenes with Joe really just like wanting to really be like as good of a father as he can and just like really like giving Peyton what she wants. It can get very corny like that, but yeah, as I've said before, just the main story like with the father-daughter connection with Joe and Peyton, it is done pretty well. So, since the main story of the film delivers, I really can't really say that this film really isn't good. Yeah, I mean, it's corny, but that doesn't really make it bad. It is still overall a solid movie, and I did enjoy it. So, so like I said, if you do want to see like a different type of rock movie than like the ones that he really is known for, if you do want to see him in like just a family film, then I would probably say give this one watch. Like I know that The Rock has been like some other family movies, but I would really say that this would be the go-to choice. So So that's really like my take on it. So like I said, I give the film 3 stars out of 4. All right. So yeah, so I guess that's all I really have to say about this film. All right. So this does it for my review of the game plan. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.